Welcome to Off-Road Observer. I'm David,
I'm Steph.
and we're adding a Teraflex 2.5 performance spacer kit to the Wabash Cannnonball, and we're doing it in my dad's driveway because our driveway is
sucks.
It's not flat at all. So basically, we're also going to add some shocks, some Falcon SP2 shocks. They're adjustable, which is kind of weird. You have to have them disconnected and twist them one way or the other to make them soft and firm. But first we're going to pop those lug nuts. Why? Because last time we worked on somebody's lift, it was a little bit hard once it was lifted up.
You can do this once it's in the air, but it's a lot more difficult. And I would not want to be sitting in the Jeep holding down the brake pedal. So this is a very important step. We almost forgot before we lifted the rear later on in the video.
Yeah, as you see, I have very little space, and you can also see my, luckily my t-shirt's tucked in. But yeah, I need some space with these 35s, so just going with the spacer kit. This whole lift kit ended up costing me under $300, which is nice.
It helps already have the shocks.
Yeah, the shocks. And I like this Teraflex lift kit a lot. The only problem is the kit came to our house with missing a part. We'll talk about that later. So I always chalk the back wheels when you're lifting this up, just in case they roll. You can also put the brake, the anti-lock brake on, or supposedly put it in 4-wheel drive, but I don't know. But this is, oh man, I was so glad when we bought this a few years ago. This little Impact. This thing has been a champ and worked really, really well.
Which, surprisingly, we haven't thought of using before now. Definitely use it some more in the future. It gets a surprising amount of torque for its size. That was very surprising.
Yeah, because I have to torque the lug nuts 130 foot-pounds. So when I took that off and started torquing it 130, man, it was almost there.
Yeah, it wasn't far off at all.
So we got on the jack stands, and this is a way that the Way of Life YouTube channel showed, and just kind of setting it right there behind that, I guess, a cross member going across there. Some kind of.
Yeah.
But it worked out pretty good. Oh man, it just makes it so easier just to knock those lugs on. Which I thought it was like we use it for, screwing things in when we're building stuff.
Woodworking projects.
Yeah, exactly. Just to have a second screwdriver. And also get the 2 battery deal, the extra battery. Always when you get tools, get one with another battery. Stay in the system. The instructions were pretty good.
Yeah, they were fairly detailed. There's a few things I wish they would have explained a little bit more, but overall, not bad at all.
And we watched Teraflex's YouTube video on an install, and they did a pretty good job of it. When we get to the brakes,
Gosh, they got it done in 7 minutes.
They made it look so easy.
It was impressive.
Yeah. Get one of these 18mm wrenches. These things, ratcheting wrenches. Just get an 18mm and build from there. Take your sway bars off, your shocks. There's so many 18mm bolts on a JL.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. So I use that as I have an extra wrench and an extra ratcheting 18mm I throw in my recovery kit as my quick disconnect kit. One thing I did was I took off the bottom sway bar connects, and that allowed me to move the uppers into a better position to take off, because I ended up snapping one of the hex keys going the wrong direction.
Yes, people lefty loosey, righty tighty, or counterclockwise and clockwise. That seemed to work.
Yeah, clockwise and counterclockwise. That was a better image in my head. Also, these gloves by ARB, I got these, like, I was just basically trying to get free shipping on a purchase, and they were brand new product at the time. So I was like, okay, well, let me just grab these, and man, these are recovery gloves, but using as mechanics gloves, it may be a little bit thicker than your mechanics gloves, but the extra padding is really nice. But they're not too much thicker. And man, they've worked out well. You can use your iPhone and on a screen without taking your gloves off. It was a dream.
Maybe they come in smaller sizes now, though. Because I would like it was like extra large when they first came out only.
And I have a medium hand, so they weren't too large for me. Kind of have a medium large hand. I'm looking for some golf gloves. Yeah, so you actually put a 6mm hex, which I broke, and so I ended up having a key. I was using a 6mm socket.
Well, I went to go get a replacement.
Yeah, but you have the key, but you're basically holding that in place while you rinse that nut out. I was able to get it off before she got back, but I needed that for other things on here. So I just move those out of the way. Now here comes the brake lines. You want to talk about that?
Oh man, so in Teraflex's video, I don't know if this guy's got superhuman strength or something, or just, has industry knowledge or something they don't tell us, but he was able to just simply bend it back to release the brake line, because the bracket ends up coming off. Now, Extreme Terrain's video, they simply scored it with they use a cutoff wheel, but
And here we actually needed to get some extra room, so we took the shocks off. And here's a good example of having two people, just someone to pull that liner so I could get to that top bolt, which is nice. So on the JKs you have the bolt in a completely different area, but on these JLs it's right there.
Yeah, as you can see with the shock gone, I've got plenty of room to try and get these brackets off.
It was so easy just getting the bracket off from that. That was easy, but man.
Use a Dremel, score it, and you got a place for your vice grips to pull the bracket loose.
Extreme Terrain used the cutoff wheel?
Yeah, they use a cutoff wheel. I don't feel comfortable with a cutoff wheel, but I'm like A+ with a Dremel, so it doesn't bother me as much. And as long as you're not like just cutting all the way through and just kind of scoring it, you're fine.
Yeah, you're not cutting all the way through, you're just trying to weaken it a little bit.
Yeah, it really just gave grip, a place for the teeth on the vice grips to, or not vice grips, channel locks to grip in order to pull it back. So that worked out very well after a little trial and error.
Yeah, the Teraflex dude did vice grips, so that was kind of hard. Now this is the breather tube you need to disconnect from the axle before lowering it. I tried regular pliers and it just got in the way with the springs. I was nice enough, I grabbed one of these on sale the other day, these little angled pliers, and that worked.
Super helpful.
That worked as just wonderful. New favorite tool. Well, I might have a few in here. Yeah. We get to the other brake system. This is the actuator tube, and this is another thing you need to disconnect. One of our buddies that works for Jeep, he forgot to when he was putting on a lift at work, and broke that. And then pop off a few of these cables. If you have a locker, there's also your connector to your locker.
For the electronics.
Yeah.
Which we do not have at the moment.
I ended up breaking this right here, but it ended up not being important, so it's cool. And then take the track bar off. So before you lower the axle down, which I lowered that thing down pretty far to the point of taking off the shocks easily. Now you see there's two index tabs on there, and those index tabs actually fit on the Teraflex index tabs. Some of the other spacer kits do not have those like indentions for those tabs, so you actually have to cut those off, which bugs me because if you go to like a regular spring lift later, you don't have those index tabs anymore on your isolator.
This was well designed to do that.
And yeah, this was the easy part. You mean just slip in there. That isolator actually kept it on that bump stop very nicely. Didn't have that luxury on the rear.
Not so much.
So that's bump stops are in a different position on the rear. But yes, getting those springs on and off was just so easy.
They're not the longest springs, though.
And this is the bump stop that goes inside the spring, and everyone said zip tie. I had some gear ties in it. That worked out nicely. It held in place pretty well. And there's an index at the bottom, and that's on the front. You need to think about the index that's on the bottom, and the rear is the opposite. But basically, you just get the springs on and then just twist it. When I put those on, it was pretty nicely fit on the index nicely. And of course, if you need some room, you can move the wheels, rotors. Especially if you're doing sway bars or something like that. But yeah, there was no time I got these springs on. The bump stop's difficult, especially on the passenger side. Now you see this is driver's side, and you can see that bolt underneath that I have to. They give you a little tool to hold the nut in place, but on the passenger side, like there's no way I could put my hand under like that. You could put maybe one finger in there. So that took a long time. Putting the shocks in, just has that one bolt at the top. And once you get those on, you can on these Falcon shocks, you just adjust to the bottom and twist them. Twist them 360 degrees, and if when you're lining up as she's putting on the shocks, you need to twist them more, go ahead and twist it the same direction. Don't go the opposite direction. You'll click back to a different setting. We didn't have any problem with these shocks, I don't think.
Oh no, these were just about as standard as it gets. It was very simple to put on and off.
Yeah. Well, it's just, you have somebody there like just lifting up the Jeep and lowering it, lifting it up and lowering it.
Yeah, and then when you can't quite get it in there, pry bar is good just to the extra little wiggle room that you need.
Yeah, and speaking of wiggle room, I ended up putting so we were doing this stuff on the passenger side and then shooting it on the driver's side. When I did the full install of the sway bar links on the passenger side, it just left me no room to work on the driver's side. I had luckily got a wrench in there to tighten it up and even torque it, but
yeah, that was not bad.
Oh well, I mean,
bad plan.
So, yeah. Do one bolt at a time on each side and then do the next one. I guess that's the way to put it. And one thing about the jacks and everything, now that jack at some point, like this is actually, we were adjusting it so I could get that sway bar bolt in on that side. We ended up using two jacks because the pumpkin's so far on the driver's side just to steady it. But like, I guess I didn't twist the hydraulic thing, the stick, all the way or something like that. So it started to sag. Either the jack is old, which is, I've had that jack forever.
I think it's probably just old. But it kept slipping just a little bit.
Yeah. So yeah,
had to adjust.
Yeah, one of us had to be on it to just kind of be there just in case it fell down. First, put the breather tube back on, and then any things that you unsnapped, and of course the actuator, and of course if you have the blocker, put that on. But very easy to do the front, except for the brake line, there's the brake line for the rear, which is the after video of it, which basically I have to disconnect all that cable and feed it under the fuel lines. and basically you can just use a vice grip to hold that in place. Oh, these are great pliers I got. These hose gripper pliers that help. It's a nut, and there's like either 3 or 4 positions where it is caught, and just trying to squeeze like every single one of those positions to feed it through there is difficult. Oh, also use your to make it easier to get those pliers on. Instead of, you can either pull down the cable, or I just had Steph pull up on the emergency brake, and that tightened it up, and then I was like, all right, release it, and I was able to unhook that hook, as you see right there. And then I have to, like, I'm just looking up going like, oh my gosh, I have to get this bracket. It's like, there's a bracket. Once you get your I think it was like some socket. I think I used a deep well socket and a shorter extension, but you might need a longer extension just to get to it. And then once you get to it, you just feed those hoses around under the fuel lines, so it's fine. The breather tube I didn't have to disconnect. Of course, I had to disconnect the rear track bar in the back before lowering the pumpkin. And taking out the springs was easy. Putting the springs back in was hard. There's a spacer, and of course you see the index is on the top. This is the top of the spring, and the it's hard to get to. They're on the inside of the wheel well. We pull this plastic back, and we're able to see the bolt that I had slipped on. You see that in the background, which is on top of a washer, and so Steph was able to put a wrench in there and hold it in place.
It was harder on the driver's side just because there were more components to get through, but that was the best way to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
The passenger side has that.
Oh yeah, passenger side was easy. It was a clear shot.
And the socks, I took out one of the clips on the side there to pull that to give myself room. I just unscrewed one screw and then pulled it out of the way. Then we're putting the shocks on. One thing is, when we're putting the jack stands on the rear, on the passenger side where the gas tank is, there's just really not a good spot to put it. But driver's side was not a problem. But yeah, see that we had to adjust. It's kind of like normal. Most of the times you have to adjust that to get that shock lined up, that bolt nicely lined up in there. However, we're about to realize that in order to get the sway bar connected, is like right behind it.
Yeah, this is where the instructions could say, hey, by the way, before you put your shocks on, go ahead and hook up your sway bars on the bottom. Because it's, I mean, I don't know if there's a bit you could get that would work. But yeah, hook up the bottom of your sway bars before you hook up the bottom of your shocks, because it's impossible to get to after that.
And the sway bars are like, they go between the wheel and those brake lines, which is kind of weird. I was like, am I supposed to do this? Like, okay, yeah, that's right. It went back and forth between Teraflex and Extreme Terrain's video, SP2 kit video, the JL, which I kind of eventually I'm going to go to a similar kit. I'm going to go to their future RT2 kit, which I'm not sure what springs they have now, but we didn't do the rear bump stops because I'm missing the mounting strap, so we'll do that later.
Yeah.
And there's before and there's after. It looks good.
I have to hop up now, which is what you want in the Jeep.
The ride's well. Falcon shocks feel good, and those tires, so far so good. It's smooth. They're loud, but man,
it's
smooth.
Worth it.
It's a smooth drive. All right, well, thank you for joining us, and remember to like and
subscribe
to Off-Road Observer. Go to our Facebook page and see all the things we're about to do and everything. So
yeah, so thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
We will.
Maybe hopefully. On the trails, maybe in the shop.
Yeah, somewhere
yeah.
Jeep related. We'll be there every Sunday. We'll try to post videos, and
that's it. Thanks, guys.
Bye.